Hey, Ann.
Hi, David.
So, hi, you guys. Good morning, boys. It's Monday morning, and what is it? About the 23rd or is it 23rd?
I think it's the 23rd
of September, and we're in the backyard of this new home that we've moved into, and so we decided to go outside. It's so beautiful to be outside. And I have my friend with me, Ann Lawsing, and Ann and I met early 80s.
At least.
Early 80s. I was out, just a short story, I was out selling water filters door to door. Do you remember?
And I bought one.
and Ann bought one. And we were younger then, quite a bit. And so we became friends, and I went back to Ann's place many times, and would have these long conversations, and this is a long time ago, and we were kids really in our 20s, and we were just we were friends, and we would talk, and I followed Ann through a couple of her houses that she lived in those days, remember, and then Ann disappeared. and I don't know how it happened, that life changes, and so sometime would be in your 30s, wouldn't it?
40s.
Was it early 40s?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sometime in Ann's very, very early 40s. So we by then had known each other probably close to 15 years, and went off to Guatemala.
That's right. I went off to Guatemala.
And with a vision. And I remember the vision because I remember helping with a fundraiser at that time to get you down the road.
Exactly, yeah.
And Ann was going to go to Guatemala and buy a piece of land and create a center, right?
Yes, a community.
Yeah.
A spiritually based community.
And she found one. It was already there.
Yes, as it always is.
It was already there, and it wasn't full of Westerners though. It was full of local folks, and and Ann, there's a lot of story in what happened and how you got to be really part of the community, and then found a place where you could rebuild.
Yes.
And so you're on this beautiful lake. What's it called?
Lake Péten.
Péten.
Péten, yes.
And the local town is called Flores, the city.
Uh-huh.
Is it a city?
Maybe a small city.
And Flores is just gorgeous. It's right on this lake, which is bottomless, isn't it?
Very, very much so, and very clear, very clean, clear water.
And this is all Mayan territory.
Yes.
Are some of these folks related to Mayans?
The vast majority of the people that live in these villages are descended from the Mayans. A lot of them now are mestizo, they're mixed with Spanish, but there are some purely Mayan communities in our area as well.
Wow. And so do you speak any of the Mayan languages?
No, not a word.
No?
I'm struggling with Spanish.
No way.
Still.
No. So you've been there 25 years.
Yes.
And so Ann and I met. It's so funny. The years went by, and we kind of got disconnected, and then through Facebook,
Yes.
a friend of mine, ran into Ann down there, a couple,
Yes.
and who I think one of them's passed away since.
Oh.
I think that one of them has, but that's another story. And they were telling this story on Facebook about this wonderful woman that they met in Guatemala who had this project that was helping the local folks, and a health and project, and all kinds of stuff that was going on. And they had spent some time with you. And I'm reading this article. I thought, my God, that's got to be Ann. And so that's how we reconnected again.
That's exactly right.
And so that would have been 07, like probably 06, 07.
Even before that, it
Was
was
it?
Like 2002, 2003.
Oh, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, then it must not have been Facebook then, because Facebook we didn't get connected till. But anyway, so it might have been an email that they sent out. because it was part of my Paul Lowe community.
It was through the Paul Lowe community.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's our story a bit. And so then we got connected, and Anne came to visit Alberta again, as she does, because she has her boys. You know, she has sons here and in Canada, and then one day we had a like a little fundraiser at my house, and Anne was telling her story because her life down there has been committed to, you know, you got there not that long after the Civil War was over.
The Civil War was still on when I got there. The peace accord still had not been signed.
Wow.
So I was there for 3 or 4 years before the peace accord was signed.
And in most of the villages, you know, every village had people who had been killed, right?
Yes. Yes. Our village and the most of the villages in the area, all the way up to Tikal, had been completely bombed out, and everybody had been killed during the Civil War. So these villages have been re-inhabited by families from the other southern part of Guatemala since then, because there's no original people left in these villages at all.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the people in this area are not native to the jungle.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, and yeah, I'm telling your story a bit, but Anne met a wonderful man, Enrique,
Mm-hmm.
and who was a medical doctor, and you guys started your clinic.
That's right. That was the first phase of our project.
Yeah.
And our project, which is called Project Ishkanan, which means Guardians of the Rainforest, was started because we wanted a way to be able to help to save the rainforests of our area, which are commonly known as the world's second lung.
Really?
And which have been in a state of constantly being destroyed for many years now, because of campesino people who have to cut the trees to grow corn, and because of the forestry concessions that are moving in and just taking all the trees that are worth anything and leaving nothing. And
So are they clear cutting right now?
They are clear cutting, yes.
So that's a whole. Is there some of the jungle that you've been successful in protecting?
Well, the whole point.
Now, you didn't know the story was going to go this way. Yeah.
The whole point behind the work we do is that we realize that the saving of the jungles is really only going to be possible when we have the full cooperation and the help of the people who live in the jungles.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, the people who live in the jungles are very poor, and they have very low health, education, and no opportunity.
Yes.
So that became our goal, was to bring health, education, and opportunity to the people of the rainforest so that they would be able to become Ishkanan, the guardians of the rainforest.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the name of the project fits in with the work that we do.
So your clinic.
So we began with the medical clinic because I had met Enrique in the early days,
Yep.
and we talked about this, and he was in full agreement that it would be a really great thing to do for the people.
Yep.
And so we began with a medical clinic,
Mm-hmm.
and within a short period of time, we moved on to a women's center and a child development center, which have been continuing to grow over these years and are quite major parts of the village now. And we now also, through the work of Dentistry for All, who are based also here in Calgary, we now have a dental clinic as part of the project as well.
On the same piece of land?
On the same piece of land.
Yes.
Yes, so it's been growing considerably over the years,
Mm-hmm.
and we work with a lot of volunteers. A lot of the work that we do is through volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
So we have volunteer medical people coming quite regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we have 2 sisters from Belgium
Yes.
who are a pediatric nurse and a pediatric doctor
Yes.
who are working in the clinic.
Yes.
And plus we get teachers and a lot of young people that are traveling who want to experience more life with the people,
Mm-hmm.
who come to volunteer in our child development center and work with the kids. We have upwards of 50, 60 kids coming every day to participate in our programs, which are geared to support the programs that they're getting in school and to help them to do better on their schoolwork.
So the kids are coming up from the school to your library? Or,
Yes.
Yeah. And the computers are all working now?
Yes, we have a really good, we have a really nice computer center now, actually.
And are you still using satellite?
No, we now have cable internet.
Oh, wow.
A new company came in and they heard what we were doing, and they actually came and offered us cable internet at a very low price. So
Wow.
yeah, lower than we were paying for satellite.
I remember when with this satellite that because the area seems to be on crystal, you know, the land.
Yes.
This piece of land that Anne is on, in this lake, is very mystical.
Very mystical.
And and it was the Mayan culture was built there, wasn't it? Or
Yes. We're right in the middle of the Mayan heartland.
the old Mayan heartland. Yes.
We're only 30 kilometers from Tikal, which is one of the largest and most magnificent of all the Mayan cities.
Yes. Yeah. And there's a lot of crystal under the ground, isn't there?
Yes.
And so that it seemed that crystal was affecting the satellite. It would be like it was breathing.
Exactly. It had a lot of effect probably on a lot of things, but we noticed it through the satellite system, the
Yes.
internet satellite system.
Yeah. So it's pretty amazing country, and so people can come and visit and work, like volunteer work.
Yes, and we welcome volunteers because it's a big part of what we do, and it brings lots of advantages to the volunteers as well as to the people there.
Yes.
So we do highly welcome volunteers from all over to come and do any variety of things, and there's lots that can be done.
So you have there's a local gentleman who has been kind of in your corner all these years, isn't there? That has the hotel, and what's his name?
His name's Eduardo Cofino, and yes, he owns a hotel locally, and he became interested in the project from the very beginning and started supporting us in a small way to begin with, and then more and more through the years. And we now have an association, and he is the president of our association.
Oh, okay. So it's like a nonprofit association in Guatemala?
Yes.
And can that nonprofit in Guatemala give tax receipts?
Only in Guatemala.
Only in Guatemala?
Yeah.
But you do have a way to do tax receipts in Canada and the U.S., don't you?
Yes, definitely. I also work with GlobalWare out of the States. They send a lot of our volunteers down, and through their American and Canadian offices, they are able to accept donations and send either an American or a Canadian tax receipt.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. And so what would be the biggest need, you know, in the community and in your project right now?
Well, financing is always a really big need. So yes, we're always open to donations.
Yeah, it's funny. I got to go down. It was quite a few years ago with my buddy Ken McNeil and my old friend Daryl Jama, and Daryl's passed now, and so we went down. Three of us went down. We had such a great time. Do you remember it?
Yes. Oh, yes. I remember well.
Really well. And you know, it's. I think if you have a chance to go and spend time with Anne in this corner of Guatemala, it's not all that easy to get to. We fly into Flores and you can drive in from Belize, can't you?
Yes, you can fly into either Guatemala City or Belize City, and from either point you can take a bus or drive or take another flight.
Yes.
It's a 1 hour flight from either Guatemala City or Belize City.
Yes.
To Flores, which is the capital of our area.
So this is a small hotel.
Yes, it's a small hotel.
But you have some rooms for backpackers.
Yes. The name of the hotel is Hotel Gringo Perdido. It's been there. It's one of the first hotels that was built in our area, built by a gringo. And we have a camping area, and we have hostel rooms, we have regular rooms, and we have really super deluxe rooms.
Nice.
So we can meet all different types of
needs.
needs.
I remember being there, and the first night that I heard the screaming monkeys. Are they still there?
Oh yes. We have a family of howler monkeys living right over the top of the hotel.
No way.
Yeah, right in the trees directly over the top of the room.
It's so crazy. The first time we heard them, we thought, my gosh, we thought they were lions or,
dinosaurs. Or something.
Yes, it's just, these howling monkeys. And so Guatemala is pretty cool, considering it's so close.
Yes.
We were just talking about, like, I could literally ride there on my motorcycle in about 10 days. 10 days?
Yeah, probably.
And have you ever driven?
I have. I've driven.
Oh, you drove down there.
I did.
You had a van.
I had a 4Runner.
Yes, I remember that. It was great.
Red.
Was it red?
Yes.
Okay, so it wasn't gray, it was red. But I do remember that. Remember we were on 17th Avenue. We had a little thing upstairs in that building on the corner.
Yes, above Victoria's.
Yes,
Yeah.
we were upstairs above Victoria's. Victoria's is gone now. But we were up there, and we had groups and
Meditation center.
Meditation center, yes.
Yes.
That was quite...
Everything goes
full circle. And it was because of that we met Frank
Young.
Young, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I call him Fearless Frank. Hey, Frank. And Frank started the conscious dreaming group.
Yes.
Do you remember?
Yes.
And at the very first meeting of the conscious dreaming group, I met my second wife, Sheila.
That's right.
And,
Yes.
and it was so. You have, a big piece in all of that. I'm not blaming you. I'm grateful.
Right.
It was beautiful, and Regan came as a result of that. My son.
Yep.
Isn't that crazy?
Yep.
So.
And Regan came down and spent some time with me in Guatemala.
He
too.
did. Yeah, we were just talking about that the other day.
Yeah.
I told him that we were going to do this, and he said to send his hellos and his loves. And I was just talking to Linda on the phone while you were getting freshened up. Remember Linda?
Yes.
Yeah, my
Yes.
lovely first wife, and she says hello as well.
Oh.
She just.
I'll say good hello back. Hi, Linda.
So that's neat because like Regan's 27.
Mm.
So yeah, we go back 30 years
Yes.
or more.
More.
Yeah. My gosh. Well, what a life, eh?
What a life.
It's you've had an effect on countless, thousands of lives as a result of your work in Guatemala, and that's so cool, and I mean, you didn't come there trying to westernize them, you came there to love them and to, with education comes employment, better style of, better standard of living, right?
And speaking of education, one of the things that I haven't mentioned yet is that we do also have a scholarship program, and we're always looking for sponsors for our scholarship program. We support young women in the village to get an education. Some of our young women scholars are in elementary school, and most of them are in junior high school, and we have a few in high school. We have a couple that are graduating this year with top honors. Almost invariably the girls that get scholarships work really, really hard, and 9 times out of 10 they're the leaders in their class.
And they go on to post-secondary?
And they go on to post-secondary. If they have any way at all to do that, they do.
Yes. So what would it cost a year to sponsor a young lady, in her education?
It varies depending on the level of their schooling that they're in, but it would average about $500, and it can go up. $500 would be the average for the junior high students.
Yes.
And it's a little less for the elementary students.
Yeah.
And it can go up to about $1,000 a year for the high school students.
So unlike Canada, the Guatemala government doesn't pay for all the education?
No, even in the schools that are government run, there's a lot of expenses that aren't covered. And these families that we're dealing with are very, very poor families. These are families that live literally hand to mouth. They grow their food, they grow their corn and beans, and they're families that would be eating probably tortillas with beans for breakfast, maybe tortillas with rice and some vegetables, or with some eggs for lunch, and then almost always just tortillas for dinner, maybe with some avocado or some squeeze of lemon or something like that on top.
Wow.
But it's a very mono diet. They have nothing. They're people that are on a subsistence living, and they can't afford the education. And there's a lot of really, really intelligent people in my village that don't have educations, and without an education, they're not able to make the money to be able to afford to send their kids to school to get an education. So it becomes kind of a vicious circle.
Nice. Not nice, but yes.
Yeah. So right now we have about 35 young women that we're educating at this moment.
In the scholarship program.
In the scholarship
So do you
program.
help manage the money and stuff so that it doesn't disappear?
Yes, I manage all the money. I pay to the students when they have expenses.
Yes.
And I send reports every month to the sponsor so that they know what's happening.
Yes.
They'll have pictures of their student. They'll see their student doing various activities in
Do
school.
people ever come and visit?
Yes, we do have people coming to visit to see their students too.
Well, I know my friend Kenny sponsored a young lady all the way through.
For the last 2 years.
Yes.
The last 2 years of her high school.
Yes.
And she's another one that's leading her class and doing extremely well.
Yes.
And she's going on to become an archaeologist. That's her goal. She wants to become an archaeologist.
Wow. Now, does she speak English?
She's learning English and doing quite well, actually.
Nice.
She's very, very determined about it because she knows that her future is going to depend on how much of these things that she can learn now.
Yes.
And English is very important in our area because of the tourism.
Yes, yes.
And getting jobs is a lot easier, of course, if you can speak English and deal with tourism.
Are a lot of Guatemalans interested in going, we hear this last few years that a lot of people from Central and South America are on their way to the U.S. Are a lot of Guatemalans interested in going to the U.S.?
Yes, a lot, because of their inability to make any money in Guatemala and their subsistence lifestyle. They figure the vast majority of them already have family living in the States or in Canada.
Yes.
And they know that life up here is better because their family up here is able to send regular money down to Guatemala.
Yes.
And they want to be able to come up here and send money back for their families as well. So there's a lot that come up here. Fortunately, the ones that get educations are staying. It's usually the ones that don't have an education, that don't have any way to be able to make money there, that find their way north in order to get jobs in the States.
Picking fruit or...
working in McDonald's or jobs like that.
Wow.
But still, even with those low-paying jobs, they are able to save money and send it back home. And it makes a big difference for their families back home, too, to have this money coming in. I know in my neighborhood alone, there's probably husbands of at least 4 of the women that I work with in our women's group who are living in the States and have been for about 20 years now. But until this last time when they went up, they had been in the habit of going to the States and working for 4 or 5 months and making some money, and then they come back and they do some more work on their house or whatever job they were working on, and then go back the next year when it was time again for the harvest of whatever they're picking or whatever. And because the immigration laws got so strict in the States, a lot of these men got up there and were afraid to come back because they didn't think they'd be able to get up again. So they just stayed there. So all the ones that I know have another family in the States, and they still continue to support their original family in Guatemala as well.
Oh, they've married again?
Yeah, they have another family with kids, and because they left
happens.
their family behind and they know they're not going back. So
wow.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a sad story in a way, you know.
It's sad. It's really too bad that, first of all, that it's necessary for them to go in order to support their families.
Yeah.
Those ones that the father is in the States,
Yes.
all the kids are educated in those families.
Okay.
Because that's one of the main reasons they're going,
Yes,
is
so
to be
that-
able
yep.
to pay for their education
Yep.
for their kids
Yes.
and to build a home for the family.
Yes.
So those
Sorry.
those families all have, I won't say a really nice house, but a nicer house,
Yes.
and their kids are all educated.
Wow.
So that's a big part of the reason why they're going there, is so that they can create a better life for their families.
Nice. Well, that's I think that's pretty interesting to know that. And what's the main industry in that area? You were saying woodworking?
Woodworking is the major way that people would make money in that area. Arts and crafts, but it's mostly wood crafts, because we're in the middle of the jungle, and there's a lot of deadfall and really nice woods that they can use to
Yes.
do wood crafts. So yes, that's a major
Is there a
thing.
mill?
There is a mill in the village that's next up the road from us that was set up about 20 years ago so that they could easily rape the jungle.
So they can cut boards and 2x4s in that mill.
Yeah.
So the wood that they would produce in that mill would stay local, probably.
No, very little of it stays local, and it's usually only the ends and the lesser quality of
Yes,
wood that
yes.
stays in our area.
Mm-hmm.
The rest is all being shipped to either the States or Japan.
Oh, so it's a big mill.
Oh yeah, this is the mill they set up when they got the last forestry concession,
Okay.
that they really did a big number on the valuable trees in the jungle.
Ah.
They took them almost all out.
Yeah.
So they've cleaned the hardwoods and the semi-hardwoods, and
I have another question for you. So you were talking about a festival that you did for a while, where there, was more of a shaman-based, spiritual-based festival that
Right.
you've had. Can people come to Guatemala to do shamanistic ceremony?
oh yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
And
As a matter of fact, our Mayan sites are all open to ceremony. You can go into the sites and take all your equipment and a Mayan shaman and do your ceremonies there.
and maybe stay overnight.
Oh yeah.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. We'll talk more about that maybe offline. But I'm sure that there's lots of my friends that would love to go and have that experience there. So there's lots of the belief systems around the dark spirits and stuff there too, isn't there? There's it's an interesting place around. I don't even know how to talk about it, but superstition.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
There's lots of superstition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And you must be, I mean, you're a bit of a focal point. Everybody within 50 miles probably knows your name.
Pretty much.
You used to sell the cell phone time, remember? That was one way that you had, when people would come to you and get, and did they still do that where the cell phones are pay as you go?
Yes, all the cell phones are pay as you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So which is different here. And wow, such an interesting. Who can you think about right now, before we finish up, that you think really needs, a family that really needs assistance, or I mean, we've talked generally about the girls and helping them go through school, and what happens with the boys? How do they get their education?
Well, if anybody in a family is going to be educated, it will be the oldest boy.
Okay.
And then after that, if the family doesn't have any money, then nobody else gets educated.
Okay.
And there is, of course, a big need for scholarships for boys too. But I'm focusing on young women because they are such a focal point in the families, and I have found that it makes a big difference in family life when the women are educated.
Okay.
And it also makes a big difference in the time that they are getting married and having kids.
Yeah.
Because the vast majority of young women, if they know after grade 6 that they're not going to be able to afford to go into grade 7, they'll immediately get married or go into a relationship with a man, and within a year have their first child.
So they're teenagers.
Yes, they're very young. I have two that I'm working with right now that are members of our Child Development Center that are, the young man is 15 years old and the young woman is 16 years old. And because of their family finances, neither one of them are able to afford to go to school. And so they fell in love and they're expecting their first baby.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, really. That's to them, that's what they can see in their future. Because
Love truly is blind.
It truly is.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that sort of thing happens regularly.
Yeah.
And you asked about a family that is having a difficult time. There's lots and lots that I could list off tons of them, but right off the top of my head, there's one that I know of that I've been working with quite a lot. It's a woman whose husband died a year and a half ago of cancer, and they have 6 kids. And he was a man who mostly just grew corn and beans, and so he didn't have anything to leave to the family. So this woman with her 6 kids now has nothing and nowhere to turn, really. Although we live in a village where people don't let people starve to death, and everybody shares their beans and their tortillas. So they're not starving, but they're a woman and 6 kids who has no money to live.
Yes.
So we now have 3 of the daughters in scholarship programs.
Yes.
And the woman herself has just been sponsored by another volunteer that I have worked with.
Yes.
Who is now paying her a small stipend to go into the Child Development Center every morning and clean.
Okay.
So we didn't have the money for a cleaner, and she didn't have any money. So this volunteer is supporting her to become our cleaner and to go in and clean every morning. So she now has a way to continue to support her other kids.
Wow.
But this sort of thing happens there all the time. There's no government system set up to help people when some tragedy falls in their family.
Wow.
So if somebody dies and that person is the person that is the mainstay of the family, then the family is left with nothing, and it happens quite regularly.
So, we have the luxury in the West, if you will, to be somewhat out of survival mode and into, higher, Maslow talks about the hierarchies of life, and many of us are, pursuing self-actualization, pursuing, what happens there? I mean, people are so close to the line on the survival. Is there a spiritual base? Are people meditating? Do they go to, do they have some spiritual beliefs?
The people in our village would be, I think you would call quite religious people. Okay. There's 2 different religions that we have very strong in the village, and one is Catholicism and the other is Evangelicism. And it's about probably 70% evangelical now, I think.
Wow.
In the area, that area.
Well, they
has
party.
Grown a lot. Yeah.
They're singing and dancing.
And then they have a meeting every night. So
do they?
That's one of the reasons that their church is growing so much, is because a lot of these women don't have anything to do.
Okay.
Like, they're just there in the village all the time, and
so
they
you
don't have
go to the
money
church,
to go anywhere.
Sing a little.
Yeah.
Listen
and
to the message.
Talk to their friends.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Exactly.
And there's a local minister. Somebody must be carrying the message.
Yeah.
And well, okay. Well, that's
that's their spirituality, I suppose.
Yes.
You could call it.
Yeah.
And they are very spiritual people anyway.
Yes.
I have found. And I don't know if you call this spiritual or not, but for example, no child ever would go into an orphanage from my village. If a mother died, or a child is born out of wedlock to a very young girl, or anything like that, somebody will step forward and say, I will take the child and care for it. And they bring them up as their own. So it's a very supportive community. And,
wow. Well, I think the work you're doing is amazing, and doctors go down sometimes. Our friend Dr. Bob Dixon comes
Yes.
And he's been there several times, hasn't he?
Yes, he's been
Yeah.
there several times.
And he does doctoring stuff, but he could end up building a building. You know, like
Yes.
he'll do what needs to be done.
Yes.
And there's dentists from here that go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dentistry for All now has a permanent presence in the village. They have an employee who works with us. They've trained him to go to all the local villages in the area. He goes to the schools and he teaches dental care and dental hygiene, and he does fluoride treatments and teeth cleanings.
Oh, wow.
And they now have a building, a dental clinic.
Mm-hmm. Is it on your property?
It's on our property.
Wow.
It's right on the same property with the clinic. They face each other.
Okay.
And
well, the library was
yes.
theirs.
Well, the dentist bought a place on the property kitty corner,
Okay.
but it was much, much larger.
Yes.
And at that point, our youth development center was overgrowing the space that we were in.
Yes.
So we switched places. And so the youth development center has this really big place that
Yes.
the dentists bought.
Yeah.
And the dentists are in what was the library,
Yeah.
that faces the clinic. So we have
Sure.
all our medical
Yeah.
things together and
Yeah.
our educational project on the other property.
Yeah.
That's kitty corner, so
Yeah. Well, that's
close.
yeah, that's great. Well, I want to say thank you for for really a lifetime of work there, and you're going back, and you're this is your home.
Yes, this is my home.
These are your people,
Yes,
and you know them, you know their kids, you know their grandkids,
that's right.
and you know who's related to who, and the whole story. And that's amazing that you've spent your life there and doing this, and you must love it.
I do. I love it. I
Yeah.
really love it.
And
It's a way of life for me.
nice. So we're gonna on this video we'll put all the places where you can be reached, your website and your Facebook information and all of that kind of stuff, so that people can connect with you. And we ask you guys to share this. Share it on groups that around the world, actually. And if you want a contact in Guatemala, Anne is it. For anything. If you just want to go there as a tourist, and where do you stay? Talk to Anne. And you want to come and teach at the school, or be a teacher's assistant, or you want to come and learn Spanish. Can you do that?
Oh yes.
Yeah, come and learn Spanish. This Anne can help, all that happen. And it's like 25 kilometers to Tikal, is that
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
And so you could go on live in Anne's village, which is called El Ramate,
Yes.
and go to Tikal on a regular basis and hang out there, which is really, really cool. So there's just so much possibility, and to make a difference there, and to just have a total shift in your life if you want to do something like that, or if you think of somebody that would like to do that. And so we appreciate your support by sharing this message, asking questions. Anne will be able to check in on this video for days and days and days and answer questions that are directed to Anne. And that's kind of it. Anything that you'd like to add to this?
No, I think we've pretty well covered it.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, there's always lots of stuff to say. I could talk about our cement floor building program or any of a number of other things.
Oh yeah, do you still have the cement mixer?
No.
Do you remember? I think we were part of buying a cement mixer or something years ago.
Yeah.
And
When we were building the library.
yeah, the electric mixer
Yeah.
that was happening. Neat.
Yeah.
So, well, I just have to say, you building cement floors because people have mud floors?
Yes. They have no floors. It's just dirt floors.
Dirt floors in their
Yes,
homes.
which is it's a big health hazard, and it's not good for kids. Kids growing up crawling on dirt floors and
Mm-hmm.
all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a program to put cement floors in people's homes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you. That's awesome. Well, Anne's just doing amazing stuff down there in so many different, like she's got her fingers in everything, which is really, really
Yeah.
cool. And there's no paycheck. So, and I mean, I've been there, and I know that you live on very, very little, and so everything that you guys send goes into the community and helps to change the standard of living there, so that folks who live there can stay there, and right?
Yes, and I will add that all donations go directly to the project. Nothing goes to pay any of us. The people that are paid are the local people that work. We have 2 teachers in the Youth Development Center. We have one young man who runs the medical clinic, and another young man who runs the dental clinic, and those are the only people that are being paid.
Wow. And so you pay yourself because you do the thing at the hotel?
I work in the hotel and earn a salary there.
Wow. And the hotel again is called?
Hotel Gringo Perdido.
Gringo Perdido. Google that, right?
www.hotelgringoperdido.com.
There you go.
It's a beautiful hotel.
We'll tag that, and so thank you.
Thank you, David.
Yeah,
Thank you
that was
very
easy,
much.
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was easy, yes.
So Ann and I, we're giving each other a hug on the deck and recognizing how lucky we are to have, this lifelong friendship. And I really love you, and thank you.
I love you too, and thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes.
Give us a hug. Thank you. Check us out on YouTube, you guys.
And come down and visit.
Yeah, okay. Do you have a YouTube channel?
Yes. No. Yes, I do.
We're going to put it on Ann's YouTube as well, and so you can follow her, and then you'll have to do more videos.
Yeah, I'll have to do more videos.
What's your pig's name?
Tiny Dancer the Jungle Pig. And he has a Facebook page, so if you'd like to tune in to what Tiny Dancer's doing, do check him out.
How big is he really?
About 700 pounds.
Tiny Dancer's around 700 pounds. He's he's your pet.
He's my baby.
Yeah.
He really is.
We're going to tag a short video if we can find one on this Tiny Dancer, the Jungle Pig.
The Jungle Pig.
Okay, love you guys. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.